I have a bit of a confession to make, folks. Sugar makes me mean. While many of you can probably relate, for some the idea of sugar having effects that alter your mood or even your mind is news. But it's true. At least for me, if I consume sugar, I get mean. Not always, of course, but it does happen. My fuse gets short, my temper gets worse, and in general, I can be a generally unpleasant person to be around. Normally, I have a very long fuse and I'm a very mellow-minded and mellow-mooded kind of person, and it takes a lot to get me angry. But when sugar is brought into the picture, that can change. I can get mean. I can get nasty, and worse, when I do come to my senses and remove sugar from the diet, I get irritable until I get over my sugar addiction. My experiences here over many years are backed up by science and was frankly one of the reasons I stopped being keto and went carnivore. An October 2020 study in the Journal of Evolution and Human Behavior researched the link between sugar and aggression. The study came to some interesting conclusions. Quote, "We present evidence that fructose, by lowering energy in cells, triggers a foraging response similar to what occurs in starvation," said lead author Richard Johnson, MD, professor at the University of Colorado School of Medicine on the CU Anschutz Medical Campus. Johnson outlines research that shows a foraging response stimulates risk-taking, impulsivity, novel-seeking, rapid decision-making, and aggressiveness to aid the securing of food as a survival response. Overactivation of this process from excess sugar intake may cause impulsive behavior that could range from ADHD to bipolar disorder or even aggression. While the fructose pathway was meant to aid survival, fructose intake has skyrocketed during the last century and may be in overdrive due to the high amounts of sugar that are in the current Western diet, Johnson adds. End quote. Now, normally, if you've watched my videos, you know that I wouldn't cite a single study to make a claim like that because single studies don't really show much of anything. They simply gather data and then extrapolate a hypothesis on it and then submit it for peer review for the entire process. But the link between sugar and aggression has actually been fairly well researched over the years. A 2009 study in the Journal of Psychiatry gathered data suggesting that there is a link between sugar consumption and violence. A 2017 study in the Journal of Scientific Reports found a correlation between sugar consumption and violence. And while correlation isn't causation, as the saying goes, the links are something that has been suspected by at least some members of the nutritional scientific community for years, going back even to 1991 at least, and should be further studied, and really studied, I think, by interested experts outside of the traditional nutrition areas, like in the carnivore sphere. But here's the thing about all of this. While we suspect that sugar consumption can lead to aggressive behavior can be a sign of sugar withdrawals also. So to be clear, some people respond aggressively to consumption of sugar, and then when we remove sugar from our diets, this aggression doesn't go away, and it might even get worse due to irritability during that transition phase to a fat-adapted metabolic state. Isn't life grand? An article by a doctor on the website Very Well Health describes sugar withdrawal symptoms in this way. Quote, "Common symptoms of reducing or eliminating sugar can include mood changes. Many people feel down or depressed when they stop eating sugar. This is likely because a lack of sugar corresponds to a decrease in the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in the brain's reward system. Difficulty concentrating. Trouble focusing and paying attention can make it hard to concentrate on tasks at school, work, or in everyday life. Irritability. Sugar withdrawal may lead to a low tolerance for people or situations you find annoying, meaning somebody singing loudly or traffic on your way home from work. Intense cravings. Removing sweets or carbohydrate-rich foods all at once can trigger cravings for these specific foods. Feeling anxious. Cutting out sugar too quickly may lead to restlessness and increased anxiety. Nausea. Some people experience digestive symptoms such as nausea when reducing their sugar intake. Headaches. A sudden reduction in sugar intake makes your blood sugar levels drop, and headaches to occur. Dizziness or fatigue. If you're used to eating sugar regularly, you may feel dizzy or weak without a steady stream of it. Changes in your sleep pattern. Some people find it difficult to fall asleep as fast or stay asleep when they're experiencing a withdrawal from sugar. End quote. Okay, so to be clear, not only can sugar lead to aggression for at least some people, but stopping the use of sugar can lead to symptoms that lead to aggression, if not being the outright cause of the aggression itself. Remember this the next time someone scoffs at the idea that sugar can be addicting for many people, because all of those symptoms are symptoms of commonly associated with substance addictions. Now, are you experiencing these symptoms in your life right now? During Christmas, I unintentionally consumed some sugar as a consequence of my own foolish attempt to relax a little for the holidays. And as a consequence, I'm still dealing with some of these symptoms, which leads me to my next point. Cold turkey quitting sugar may not be the best strategy for people, even if they fall off the wagon a bit and go on a holiday-related sugar bender or a sugar bender because they had a moment of weakness, which happens to a lot of people. In fact, over at Carnivore Quest, he just did a video on that. I suggest you check it out. Moments of weakness can snowball into an avalanche of pastries or whatever. Getting back on the horse safely for yourself and for those around you might require easing off the sugar again and living in a keto diet for a while before getting back on a carnivore diet. And I know many of you don't want to hear that, but for some people, getting back to pure carnivore is the best strategy by going it slow. And for others, it's the best strategy, just going cold turkey. But because either the mood and mental health related consequences of giving up sugar too abruptly, or because they keep falling off the wagon again and again repeatedly, easing off the carbs over a few weeks may be the best strategy, especially if your moment of weakness wasn't a moment of weakness, but something that lasted for quite a while. It gives you the best chance, I think, of finding success if a cold turkey approach doesn't work, but you're free to disagree with me on that and let me know if you do in the comments. This may include keeping dairy, by the way, in until the end as the last thing you give up, though limiting your consumption of dairy in that transition phase of getting off sugar again is still advised. Now, this is not an endorsement of consuming dairy and shouldn't be taken as an excuse to keep using dairy, nor is it a condemnation for those of you who dairy is fine on your carnivore diets. For some people, easing back into a carnivore lifestyle after an accident is the only sustainable strategy for success. And every individual needs to assess how this works for themselves based on their own unique needs and capabilities. Remember, one size rarely, if ever, fits all. Now, are you the kind of person who deals with sugar-related aggression? Did sugar make you mean? Do you get especially irritable and mean when you give up sugar? If so, how do you deal with it? Besides just not consuming sugar and just white-knuckling it. How do you deal with it? What's some strategies you would give to people? Let me know in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. Sharing this on social media helps a lot too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. Thanks for tuning in today.